All right, and good evening to our viewing and listening audience. Welcome to today's webinar titled The Seidenberg Family, Parents and Students Speak. My name is Stephanie Elson. I'm the Assistant Dean for the Seidenberg School of Computer Science and Information Systems. And we are headed by our Dean, Jonathan Hill, and we're on both the Pleasantville and the New York City campus, downtown New York. I just wanted to let you know that this is our 6th webinar in a series that we started since early April. And this one is going to be very exciting because we get to welcome back some very beloved Seidenberg folks, parents, and their children who are now alums having successfully graduated. And we want to know a little bit more about what they've been up to, both the parents and the alums. I just want to give you a bit of background on the Seidenberg School. And we've been established since 1983, known for very cutting edge technology, teaching, instruction, research, all of the above. We are considered by the National Science Foundation and the National Security Agency as a center for academic excellence in cybersecurity and cyber defense. We've been given this accreditation for several years now because we have instruction, research, and teaching in that particular area. That is our specialty area. Want to also you to know that 92% of our students within 6 months to a year obtain full-time positions or within industry. As well, the average salary our students earn when they graduate is about $67,000. All right. And so with a little bit of that background, I just wanted to go through and give you an idea of what we are going to be doing today. We're making sure to do a panel, parent and student panel. You'll get introduced to them shortly, making sure that you're going to find out more about what they have to offer. They're going to tell you a little bit about their experiences as the parents of these students, and the students themselves, now that they're alums, give you a little bit of insight into what they've done in the past, why they chose PACE, and all those questions we're going to get really answered today. And then we have questions and answers after that. And then we bring up a panel of current students who are mainly going to talk about their dorms and the housing, what is current student life like. And, you know, we get a chance to make sure you get to interact as well. Make sure to post your questions in the chat box that we have so that we can welcome those questions and have responses. Before we go into the panel segment, I want to get to the next steps. For you as admitted students to the Seidenberg School. I'm hoping that by now you know our deposit deadline was extended from May 1st to June 15th. So it means you still have almost a month's time to consider our school, Pace University and the Seidenberg School, as your college choice. We have on the screen the web link to the deposit website. So that you can also search that very quickly on our PACE main pages. Financial aid tutorials, you want to make sure that you're getting that information. We post that here for you as well. Since this is our 6th webinar, just make sure that you're checking out the previously recorded webinars on our Seidenberg page. And of course, everyone wants to know what scholarships are available for students. So we put as much information as we could possibly provide you there, as you can see on the screen. And I think we have another slide. Jill, did we plan to do that one? Okay, yeah, so, you know, in case we forget, sometimes we do, we get so excited about our events and we tend to forget some of the things that we want to information that we have for you. Our email is up on the screen, seidenberginquiry@pace.edu. Make sure that you email us if we didn't answer a question today for you. That is where you can find us as well. We want you to keep up with a lot of what we're doing. We have events tomorrow. We have another webinar tomorrow. This time around, that's going to be the alums talking with our dean, and that starts at 6 o'clock. Definitely register for that if you haven't done so already. And next week, we have one of our esteemed faculty, Dr. Farkas, is going to be presenting on a topic that he, I believe it's on the topic of GIS, or Geographic Information Systems. So you definitely want to find out more about that. And so let's get to the topic of today, our parents and their students, our panelists. So I want to have them introduce themselves, but on the screen you can see panelist Melanie Green and her mom, Rosanna Ranieri, and Siobhan Wilmot Dunbar is here with her dad, Rupert Wilmot Dunbar, and they'll introduce themselves and give you a little bit about what they studied at Pace and where they're originally from, and what year they graduated, because it's been a while. So let's start off with Melanie Green, and Melanie's going to give us a little bit of a background about what she, what her degree was at Pace, and when she graduated, and what she currently does.
Sure, happy to. Well, hello everyone. It's so amazing to see you all here. It's a pleasure to meet you. So as Stephanie mentioned, my name's Melanie, and I am born and raised in New York, currently at home with my family in Staten Island, New York. And I graduated Pace Seidenberg June 2017. So it's almost 3 years ago. In a week, it'll be 3 years. So it's amazing to think about. And I received my degree as a BS in information technology with a focus in web design and digital media with a minor in marketing. And after I graduated, a little less than a month, I moved with my mom and my uncle, who helped me move to Silicon Valley, so to the other side of the country, where I started my career as an associate UX designer at Veritas Technology. And then a little over 2.5 years later at the company, I was promoted to a UX designer. And then that was in July. And then now in February, this past February, I transitioned into a senior product marketing specialist role. So I've just been about 4 months in this role, and it's been really exciting for me, and really great challenges that it has come my way, but it's been such an amazing learning experience for me. And I truly am blessed for the experience that I've had at Pace and Seidenberg to allow me to have all of the opportunities that I've had in my career thus far. I'm very grateful for my mom's support, because truly would not be where I am today without that.
You're so impressive, Melanie. Thank you. And so Siobhan, give us a little bit of background into you and what you studied, as well as where you're from, what you're currently doing.
Sure, great. Welcome everyone. So my name is Siobhan Wilmot Dunbar. I studied computer science at Pace. I did a BA in computer science with a minor in digital design. And one of the things that I'm really grateful for with Seidenberg is that through my experience there, I also discovered my love for education and combining the spheres of education and technology. So I graduated in May 2016, and then I went on to grad school, also at Pace in the School of Education. And I studied education technology, and I graduated in May of 2018. So right now I'm a senior instructional designer at NYU Steinhardt, where I get to work with a lot of amazing students, a lot of amazing faculty, and I get to combine my knowledge of technology and all the experiences I gained at Seidenberg with my love for education and everything I learned there as well. So I'm truly, truly grateful for the experience, and just grateful for the whole team of support that I've had.
Yes. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh my God, you all sound so amazing already. And you just came out of college a couple of years ago. This is very, very impressive stuff. And I don't want to forget our parents, because parents are a big part of how you decide on choosing a college. And I wanted to hear from the parents as to how much of an influence they had in deciding what college choice. And so I'll start with with Rupert with Dunbar to find out, when you and Siobhan and the rest of your family were deciding on a college of choice, who was the critical decision maker? Was it the parent? Was it the student? How did that process happen?
Hi, I'm Rupert. I'm Sharon's dad. Well, it's a little of both. We like to do things collectively. So when we came to Pace and we looked at the school, it was up to Siobhan really whether she wanted to go to that school or not. Because ultimately, if the student is not satisfied with the school, they will not want to be there. So we work together, both of us.
Good.
And my good friend Dr. Hill played a very, very important part in us making a decision. He played a critical role, a very, very important role.
Yes.
And I call him my friend. I know I can't get over with that because towards the end of everything, he looked at me and I was perplexed and he said, what is the problem? I said, I don't know. He said, look, is it money? I said, well, that's a part of it. It's very expensive. He said, if I can get you more scholarship money, would you give Siobhan to me? That was on a Friday. On the Monday, he called me and said, I got you 20,000 over 4 years. That was it. So he became Siobhan's second dad.
Instant, overnight dad. That's a great story. I love it. And so, Rosanna, what was going on in your house before May 1st of that year that Siobhan came in here? What was happening there?
Well, hello. Yes, I'm Melanie's mom, Rosanna. It was very difficult for us. We took tours. She got offered a lot of money, but we wanted to make the right decision. And we took the time to visit Pace many times. She wanted to stay close to home. She didn't want to study abroad and she didn't want to travel very far to school. She was undecided about dorming. So when we visited Pace, the opportunity was amazing. It's New York City is the center of the world. Everything was available to her, internships. And I knew that going in. So I figured, okay, they offered great money, excellent scholarship money. So she made the decision at the time. She didn't want to dorm at the beginning. She said she wasn't comfortable, she wasn't ready. She said she may change her mind, which she did. So part of the time when she entered, she didn't dorm, and then she started dorming, and it was excellent. The people that she met, it was difficult, but once she got her foot inside the door, she flourished into a very strong, hardworking woman.
Oh, fantastic. Wow, Mel, listen to mom. I like those stories a lot. So here's my next question to the young ladies. When you came into Pace, what surprised you most in terms of transitioning from high school into college life? I'll have Siobhan take that question first.
Sure. It's something that I've reflected on even after I graduated. I think the biggest shocker for me was how very different classes were in terms of like 3-hour lectures. I kind of was ready for that, but also sitting through that at a time just felt like a transition, being from high school where everything's very structured, maybe 40-minute, 30-minute classes, to being so lengthy of classes, and also having so many gaps in between. But then it was also something that I've grown to appreciate, because that space in between gave me an opportunity to make friends and to connect with other people and to study with other people for other classes. So it was a great advantage to have things more spread out during the day and a great space for connections.
Yeah. And what about you, Mel?
I totally agree with Siobhan. I think definitely the transition between high school and college is really such a really fascinating one, because from my experience, I learned so much about myself. And I think definitely the most surprising thing was the amount of freedom that you get, because as you know, in high school, we have that more structured day, but then when it comes to university and college, we have this time, as Siobhan mentioned, where we have separation between our classes to really utilize that time. And whether it's going to the tutoring center, participating with extracurriculars. So I think there's a lot of time to get to know yourself in that time, because as you know, we're trying to find a career that is something that we want to pursue for like the next step in our lives. So I think that utilizing that freedom, that time that we have to really use it wisely, that was something that I found really impactful and something that was very different from my high school experience.
Right. And so, Rosanna, when Melanie came into Pace, I mean, Were you fearful? You know, what expectations did you have for her? You know, and how did you manage that?
Yes, I was very fearful, Stephanie. She was a tiny, petite, young girl that had not experienced the world yet. And I was afraid. I mean, you know, but I couldn't. First of all, the safety at Pace is impeccable. The security people I spoke to prior to her going in, I'm sure most parents don't do that, but I did. I wanted to make sure the police department is right there. School safety was very important to me. And you know, she's really small and very young, and my baby as always. But and then I was uncomfortable. But once she walked in, I knew she was very safe, and I knew that everything was there, and people were always willing to help at the school.
Yeah, yeah. And what about you, Dad? First, Siobhan, you know, expectations, any kind of, you know, what kind of emotions were gripping you at that time? September of whatever year that was. There she goes.
Well, it didn't bother me so much because we live in Brooklyn and she attended Martin Luther High School in Maspeth in Queens.
Okay.
So she had to commute to school. So she had to take a bus and a train just to get to school and the same thing back. So she was sort of like out there trying to get to school and trying to get back. And then she got involved in athletics, and it means late evenings. And sometimes I was able to pick her up, sometimes I could not. So I kind of adjusted to that, and she adjusted to being there traveling by herself.
Okay.
To school
That's
and
great.
back.
Yes.
So
yes.
coming over to Manhattan to Pace was not so much of a problem for me. And yes, I know some people say, okay, worry about her, but I used to work with the city comptroller, and we were at 1 Center Street, and I know one police plaza is right behind it. So I know in that general neighborhood, it's extremely safe.
Right.
It's what we call a frozen zone because the stock exchange is nearby, the Federal Reserve Bank is nearby, so there's a lot of security. So I wasn't worried about her safety at the school.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. So the New York City downtown campus, as you said, near Wall Street Stock Exchange, near the NYPD. So on each side, we have security, very high profile security. So thank goodness for that. So I'm sure a lot of parents and families listening are going to be happy to hear that. And it's still like that even now.
It's extremely secure because I work with the state comptroller, and I was at Maiden Lane, and we're just across the road from the Federal Reserve Bank. And those guys, they're always there, and they're in uniform and also in plain clothes, so they cover the entire area.
Right. Yeah, thank goodness. So I'm going to ask Melanie a little bit, because your mom mentioned you were undecided when you came in to Pace. And so how did you decide, and when did you decide on a major eventually? And why Seidenberg? Because you could have picked a business major, an arts and science major, any of the health, you know, any of the majors and programs at school. And why specifically was Seidenberg the one that you eventually decided on?
Well, that's a great question, Stephanie. So as my mom mentioned, I did join PACE as an undecided major. I was in the Dyson School of Arts and Sciences. And at the time, I took classes in all of my interests that I had: psychology, sociology, filmmaking, writing, you name it, technology. At that time, I felt like I needed to get an exposure to everything to really find like where my heart was really calling me to go in. So that was my first freshman year, where I took all the classes under the stars. And that's what I love about PACE as well, because you can really take classes in everything. And then my sophomore year is when I got introduced to the amazing Seidenberg School. And that's when I decided to take the web design for nonprofits, Java, and the web design course as well. And that's when I was able to see and really understand the impact that technology has. And really, I was able to then pair that with my love for helping others and the community-driven social causes that I find really passion for. And taking Dr. Lawless' class, who's one of my mentors that I met in the Seidenberg School, has been such a very life-fulfilling and life-changing moment for me, because meeting and understanding how technology, you can integrate that with all of your interests, whether it be in science, in math, engineering, you name it. Everything really has that technology coding as the foundation. So that's what really and thinking about the future, and especially the environment that we're currently living in today, you really see that technology, without it, I can't imagine the world that we would have. So that's when I was able to, at that time, understand that I knew I wanted to be a part of the technology industry, and there's so much out there. So I felt my passion and my spirit being called to this, because I knew that at the time that this is where I'm meant to be. And that's how I was able to discover that the amazing people at Seidenberg, Dean Hill, as Rupert mentioned, as well as the amazing professors, and just to be able to call it home. And I'm so proud to be a Seidenberg alumna. It's been such a very rewarding experience, and really grateful for that journey that PACE allowed me to have. So I was able to find myself and really get introduced to technology. That was something I'm really proud about.
Yeah, great, great. Oh my goodness, wow. Whew. I tell you, you guys are making me go back to all these dates that I remember you in the hallways near to all the advisors. Mel, this is amazing. So Siobhan, I know you talked about stumbling into or the world you're in now, kind of, sort of, education and technology. And Melanie just kind of alluded to that, where you kind of find how to integrate technology with other disciplines. And I know you stumbled. I think I remember you being a tutor at one time.
Right.
Is that how you discovered your passion for education?
Yeah. So since I was younger, I knew I always wanted to do like teaching of some sort, but as you get older and you kind of discover other things, but that original passion is always still there. And I completely agree with Melanie, saying that technology is kind of found in everything, because even as a tutor, I was thinking of ways of how can technology be applied to this? How can I incorporate technology into this while I'm even tutoring? And I discovered the EdTech program at Pace University towards the latter end of my senior year before I graduated. And I saw that as a way where I can incorporate technology into education to build things, because I thought about my own learning experience and how I've taken some classes online, or what systems am I using, these different things, and how can I use technology to make it better, and how can I make an impact myself in this big world.
Yeah, all right, fantastic, yeah. So Dad and Mom, let me come back to you because you know, you hear your kids talking about they're doing education, they do technology, they have all these activities. I mean, did you ever see a time when they were overwhelmed, and how did you help them out with that? I'll have Rupert go first. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Whenever Sharon gets overwhelmed, what I try to do, I try to talk to her. There are times I tell her to take a walk, because they do get overwhelmed. It's not easy studying, because I'm still studying myself, and there are times it gets to me.
Yes.
So there are times you just have to leave everything and step back and just walk away for a while.
Yeah. Got it. What about you, Rosanna? When your daughter came home and she says, "Mom, I don't know if I can do this anymore."
Yes, I agree with Rupert. They are overwhelmed. We all are at times. But with Melanie, I would try to encourage her to organize her time better and take the time to relax and unwind, because it does her no good if she's stressed out. She's not going to accomplish anything. So I just try to talk to her, have a laugh, sip a cup of tea, relax, and it'll get easier as time went on. And it did. She then knew how to control herself, and even if she was overwhelmed, especially at the beginning, she was able to learn when she was becoming overwhelmed that she needed to step back for a minute, relax, and then go back to it.
Yeah, that's great. And so I want to go to ask, in terms of classes, you know, like how many, you know, people always say, do you start your major right away? Do you have to take a lot of liberal arts classes? I know, Mel, you started as an undecided student, and in your first year you did a lot of liberal arts classes. And so did that hold you back in any way in terms of graduating on time, because you probably didn't have a major in that first year?
Great question. So it did not. I actually could have graduated a semester earlier, but I did not want to, because I love Pace and Seidenberg too much. So I wanted to stay there as long as I could, because I absolutely, just being at Seidenberg and with Pace was truly the most amazing 4 years ever. So it did not set me back at all. I could have graduated earlier, but definitely chose not to. But I think it was also great to have those liberal arts classes because it helped me really get exposure to all the different areas. And even today when I'm working, I get to apply like anthropology methods, like understand certain areas that help me as I'm in technology. So I think those liberal arts classes really help give me that well-rounded like educational experience.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that. And Siobhan, what about you? In terms of, you know, your major, you were a computer science major?
Yep, so I was a computer science major. I actually came in declaring as a computer science major. So one of the things that I also appreciated is all of the space that I had as well for liberal arts classes. So that's actually where I discovered my love for design and minoring in digital design. And I get to use that a lot in the work that I do today as well. So I feel like it's a great opportunity for a balance, and being able to take all sorts of different liberal arts classes helps you to also discover other things that you're passionate about or other things that you're just generally interested in.
Nice, that's great. Jill, I'm just going to ask, do we have any questions from any of our audience posted in the chat box?
I don't see anything yet, no, but anybody who's here can definitely send questions directly to me if that's the option that it's having. So feel free, anybody, if you have questions along the way.
Yeah, please do. We want to make sure that we're getting all of your questions answered from our amazing panelists here. And if there are parents listening in, definitely put or add questions to the chat box so that you have you get an immediate response. We also have email contact information for Melanie and for Siobhan. If you do walk away today with questions and you want to get in touch with them, please feel free to take a photo or just to jot down the contact information, because they're really happy to entertain any kind of questions that you have. And if they don't know, they'll probably reach out to me anyway.
I do have actually got a couple questions. So one of the questions that we have is whether Melanie or Siobhan want to talk about this. Usually our incoming freshmen take a full amount of credits, which is 18, which is the max for full time. How did you feel juggling that? And how many, classes would you recommend or credit hours for the students in terms of, the time to be enrolled in 18 credits and the responsibilities and all the extra things that you guys probably experienced as first semester students, and then how you kind of rolled that into the rest of your experience?
Yeah, so let's have Siobhan take that first.
Sure, yeah, happy to. That's a great question as well. So I did take a full credit load all 4 years. So that was 18 credits worth. I would say the biggest thing for me was time management. Also with taking classes and doing schoolwork, but also being involved on campus, holding a campus job, and then also being involved in other activities and volunteering outside of school. So there were apps that I found. One was iStudies. I remember it was my favorite because I can sync my personal calendar with my class's calendar as well, and I can mark off like homework assignments and when things were due. So it's definitely manageable as long as you're applying good time management skills to that.
Mel?
I think that's great, definitely. I think I remember taking between that 15 to 18 credit load. And I agree. I think time management is so important because I think also depending on how you schedule out your classes, since there's the 5 days, if you want to put everything on 1 day or 2 days or 3 days, and then have 2 days to really focus on working, and then as well as internships. So I think depending on how, and I think as you go through the college experience, you'll understand like what's the best schedule to work for you. And I think that's how you could really accommodate the schedule just as you go. And I think that's something that I've learned throughout the process is like from in schools, you really get to iterate on your time management skills, just to think about what days work best for you. Are you a morning class student? Are you a nighttime class student, midday? So I think really helping you to decide what works best for you. And I think that would help. That helps me as well because I'm a morning person. I think morning classes really helps me. And then when I was living on campus, I was able to take nighttime classes. So that flexibility, that really helped me be able to manage my time when it came to balancing all these different classes, as well as being able to incorporate time when it came to working in the city for my internships or volunteering. So I think being able to cater your classes really helped me as well.
Yeah.
Great. Any other questions, Joe?
Yeah, actually, before we move on to one of the other topics, Siobhan, can you just like talk a little bit about your commuter life, how you chose your classes? Like Melanie was just saying, nighttime, morning, what works, what you were juggling, and what it was like just to be an incoming freshman as a commuter student. Or maybe, and your dad can talk a little bit about maybe what that experience was like having you commute in and out of the city.
Well, I know I definitely loved the city and I loved being there, so I didn't mind the commute at all. Where I lived, it was probably a 40-minute train ride on a really traffic heavy day. So it wasn't too bad. I'm not as much of a morning person, so my classes were a little bit more towards later in the day, but I did tend to get to campus before my classes started just to have more time in the morning if I wanted to catch up on something, or when I was working on campus, I would also have a set schedule, so I would schedule my classes around my work schedule, but it was still generally more towards like the early afternoon into like the early evening hours. I think I've probably only taken 2 night classes just because those were the only times they were offered.
Yeah, Joel, anything else?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, we're getting lots of questions. That's great.
Here.
Oh, nice.
So we have one of the attendees asking what one of the best decisions that you made when choosing like all your classes and making a schedule, like if you had advice on that process, or any insight in terms of what you like you said, your morning or night, but any advice on that process at all, any really cool classes that you could take as an elective maybe, or any extras?
Good question.
And then also, how did you feel about all the math classes? I'm also getting that too.
I think Siobhan would be good at asking that, the one with the math classes. Let's start you out with that one, Siobhan.
So the math classes weren't too bad. If I remember them all, I know there was a computer science specific math course. There's definitely the calculus classes to be taken. I know when I got to the calculus, that's when I visited the tutoring center a little bit more, not as a tutor, but more as a person receiving the tutoring. But it wasn't too bad also because the instruction was great. And I also had some great classmates that I connected with, and people who were in my program with me. We took a lot of the same classes, so we were able to form our own kind of mini study groups to work through all of the content and stuff that we were learning together.
And then Melanie, in your major, which was the information technology, there are math classes there as well.
Yes.
Right.
Correct. Yes, there is. And definitely for me, I second what Siobhan mentioned about the tutoring center. I think that's, and even in the tutoring center, I met some of my really, really great closest friends and mentors by going to tutoring. And that was such a valuable experience for me, as well as office hours. I think definitely meeting the professor, whether it be math or any class that you have, meeting with your professor was always extremely valuable because you get to develop that one-on-one relationship with the professor, even group studying, as Siobhan mentioned, and just creating that group with other students as well to learn from them, because I think being able to learn from each other is one of the most valuable experiences that you receive in college and even in the workplace, being able to collaborate. So that was really helpful for me when I had my science and math classes too.
Yeah, and I want to go over to the parents. I'm just going to switch over. I don't want to leave them out at all, because there are parents here or even students who are thinking, oh my God, PACE is expensive. And I know, Rupert, you mentioned talking to Dr. Hill and getting some additional scholarship assistance. But even with that, I'm sure there were other ways or other strategies you as a family came collectively together to, help and support Siobhan while she was in school. So can you talk a little bit about that? And Rosanna, you next, as to how your family, did the whole financial aid or whatever, loans, scholarships, grants over the 4-year period. We'll start with you, Rupert.
It was actually a mixed medley, because with the scholarship from Dr. Hill and the fact that Siobhan was in the honors program, she got additional money from other sources, and she took student loans and their Parent Plus loans. So everything commingled, came together, and really worked for her. But PACE is a bit pricey, but if one wants to get a good education, then you have to make a sacrifice. It's all about making a sacrifice for what you really need. what you need for your
Yes.
child.
Right, right. And I remember, Rosanna, we had an event and you said, oh, you know, we said to Melanie, we want to help you with your student loans. And she refused. Oh,
Yes,
what?
yes, yes, yes. And with the excellent salary that she was making, she paid off her loans in less than 2 years. When she left.
Wow.
Yes,
Good news. Good
yes,
news all around. Yes,
good
yes,
news.
Thank you.
Big
yes.
celebration in 2 years. In her senior year of college, in her senior year, October of her senior year, she signed a contract to start working when she was graduating in June. May 23rd, she graduated though, but she signed a contract and we took her to California. So she already had her contract, her job was signed, guaranteed in October of senior year. So
Yeah.
it was, you know, it was amazing. So in 2 years, with that great job, excellent salary, she was able to pay for her loans and she lived all by herself in California. So
Right.
now we wanted to invest. We thought of it, you know, obviously it's very expensive to go to PACE, but we felt it was an investment in her future. So we took out the FAFSA loans. We were able to get some grants, and we got excellent scholarship money from PACE, and we made it possible, and it all worked out, and we're very happy with the decision. We have no regrets. She met the best mentors at PACE, and they were able to help and guide her, and she still keeps in touch with everyone. These professors, they become a mentor to you. So, and they guide you. You have a tough decision to make. You can always reach out by email or a phone call. And definitely the price was worth it, and investment in her future, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, and you have another daughter here at PACE also.
That's correct.
Yeah, so
I knew it was the place for her. Yes.
I like that. I'm gonna bring in our, I know we have you guys as panelists and I appreciate you guys a whole lot, but I'm going to make sure to bring in our current students, Manny, Julia, and I believe Lena. Is Lena in as well?
Yeah, I'm here.
And yeah, fantastic. And so they're going to join to talk a little bit more about the current student life in terms of dorming, housing, campus life, because I want to make sure that current students, you know, get a chance to say, you know, what's currently happening on campus. So let's bring them in. I'm going to have you guys kind of exit left a little bit temporarily. And I'm just gonna bring up our current students, Lena, Julia, here we go. And the emails are there in case anybody, these students are still on campus. Lena, you're graduating, oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
This May, I can't believe it. And we have Manny and Julia, they're gonna pop in soon. They're our current sophomores, you guys? I believe they're sophomores now. I can't believe it. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you. So we just heard from that amazing panel there. I'm sure you were listening in. That is you in the next 2 to 3 years. I hope you all know and understand. You guys are going to be those people in the next 2 to 3 years. Your parents are going to want to be in on this action as well. So get them prepped and ready to go. All right. So I wanted to talk to Lena since she's our senior. And she's in our Westchester campus. So Lena, give us an idea in terms of campus life on the Westchester campus. We probably have some students admitted here to Seidenberg who will be on that campus soon enough.
There's a bunch of different dorm styles that the Westchester campus offers. So kind of similar to the city campus where you have the communal style dorms, you also have suite style and townhouse options.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so which did you go into each of those each year? You were in a different style of dorm, or how does that work?
So each year you can choose who your roommates are and choose which dorm you want to be into. So it just depends on what you like and what your friends prefer. So honestly, everyone has a great opportunity to be in, you know, the nice new suite style dorms that they just built for the upperclassmen or the townhouses. that are offered for also upperclassmen, but then they also have really great singles that you can have. It just honestly depends on what you want, and PACE really does help you get like your preferred choice.
And I just want to encourage people to, again, post questions in the chat box. I know I saw a couple, or I see one chat there. So Jill, when you get a chance, you can let us know. You can interrupt me when the time comes. I just want to go to Julia and Manny. They're on our New York City campus. And as sophomores, are you living the wild life? Is that what everybody thinks you're doing on campus? Tell us, give us the scoop. Manny, you first.
Sure, I'll go ahead and go. So, for my dorm life, I was dorming in 182 Broadway. Out of the three dorm towers that we have, I was in 182 Broadway. It's like the newer building, so it was a really great experience. I was left in a quad, which was a little iffy at first, but luckily I had three great roommates. We became really good friends. I still stay in touch with them now. What I like about the dorms was our RAs were really interactive with us and really made a community. So like the people in my floor, those are still the people that I hang out with now. So it was really cool to have that interaction with those students. So I made a lot of great friends, even just in the lounges, in the study rooms. Doing our laundry, even just being open and being able to talk to people was people that I've never really met before. Just making new friends was just an incredible experience about Broadway for me.
And Julia, what about homesickness? Did you ever experience any homesickness, or you're saying to yourself, I'm good.
Yeah, so I actually live pretty close to the city. I'd say like less than an hour to the city. I actually live in Westchester, ironically, that I attend the city campus. And there were definitely times that I did feel homesick. It's a completely normal thing. Everybody experiences it. But in order to combat that, I kind of, I called my parents a lot, checked in with them every day. That may seem excessive to some, but that kind of helped me overcome that kind of homesickness. And there's also a good side to it because there's a new freedom that comes with living in the city, living away from your parents, even though I'm not that far. But yeah, it's really great.
Yeah. I see that. And Lena, coming back to you on the Westchester campus, do you interact with the New York City campus in terms of dorm life activities? You guys coordinate with the dorm in the New York City campus?
Dorm wise, not really, but
Okay.
for me personally, I've taken classes on the city campus and done that commute for a few classes, and honestly, I didn't mind it. The PACE offers a shuttle between campuses, and it's honestly super convenient. It picks you up right outside your dorm, so you do have the opportunity to go to the city a whole bunch.
Right, and I know some students do what is called a semester away, where they can come for one semester to campus, switch up campuses for a semester. Anybody thinking about doing that? Manny or Julia? You could do that.
No, I absolutely love the New York City campus. I do want to visit though. Don't get me wrong. But it's been a dream of mine to go up and just be in the city and live in the city. I am from Texas, so it's like a huge drastic change, but that's what I wanted, and then I've loved it so far. So I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah. And Julia, what you said you're from Westchester. There's a campus there, but what made you say New York City campus as opposed to Westchester campus?
Yeah. So I actually live very close to the Pleasantville campus. I don't know if any of you know this. I live in Rye, which is, I'd say, about like 15 minutes from the Pleasantville campus. But like as Manny said, even though I'm not as far, to live in New York City was like a huge dream of mine. I knew ever since I was like a little kid, I was like, I want to go to school to the city and I want to work in the city. And I think that part of it too is that my mom worked in the city. So whenever, I would go visit her job, I was just absolutely amazed. There's really so much out there for you to do in New York City, which is why I chose it to go into the city.
Right. And I'm coming back to Lena because Lena, now you had a sister that chose the New York City downtown campus and you chose the Westchester campus. So how did that decision go for you in terms of the select? Were you trying to run away from your sister?
I definitely liked the Pace atmosphere and just kind of what Seidenberg had to offer. And for me personally, I didn't think I was a city girl. It's very hustle and bustle, and I really like the aspect of having that true campus feel. You know, the Westchester campus has the baseball field, the football field. Like we have athletics, we have, you know, the quad and things like that. You get to walk on campus, you see the trees. Like that was something I really enjoyed. And you know, yeah, my sister did go to the city campus, and I chose the Pleasantville campus because that's the one she didn't go to, which is kind of funny. So, but I think both campuses are really great.
Yes, yes. Great, great. Jill, do we have questions for any of our panelists?
So I don't know where Julia and Manny are in terms of their internship, you know, experience so far at Pace, but I know that Lena has had quite a lot of experience.
Yes, she has.
So if
yes,
Lena, you could talk a bit on how you've, you know, how you found those internships, who you worked with, and where they were.
Oh, Lena, you
Did
good?
I freeze?
Oh, I think you froze a little bit. Yes, that's okay.
I didn't know who was going first. Sorry.
That's yeah, well, I don't know if Manny and Julia have anything yet, but I know that you have quite a lot of experience with the searching and then those summer internships and then through the fall and spring. So,
yeah. So going into my junior year, I actually went to Career Services and I was looking for an internship for that summer. So they connected me with an employer from UPS and I was able to do an internship there, which is actually really cool. It was a great transition period because I've never been in the workforce before. So that was a really good opportunity for me just to kind of have that, dip my toe into the field and just have that experience. And then the next internship I had, I actually attended a conference called Grace Hopper, which is a huge women's conference for women in the tech field and just, you know, that having that. So they had a huge career fair there, which is where I was able to find my second internship with Prudential. And then the following year, I went back to Grace Hopper actually to find a full-time position, and I accepted a full-time position with a company called Northrop Grumman, which is actually really amazing because I know now a lot of people are actually struggling to find jobs, especially with what's going on right now. So the fact that I was able to do that back in October and just like now being able to sit back and kind of just relax is like really amazing.
Yeah. So that's one thing I realized you and Melanie have in common, that you guys attended the Grace Hopper Women in Computing Conference.
Yes, I totally agree with what Lana said. It's such an incredible experience to be there and just to feel the inspiration from all women in technology. And that's how I landed my job too, my full-time job.
Yeah. So there's a lot of shared experiences here. And so questions from our audience, anything, Jill, at this point? I just want to make sure we're addressing those questions right away.
yeah, no, when they come in, I'm bringing them right to you. We do have a question in terms of, you know, what the fall might look like with classes and if there's any additional information in terms of what we know now for the fall and what the, you know, New York City and Pleasantville campuses will look like operating.
Yeah, so let me take that question in terms of what it looks like for the fall. So as far as I know, we do not have information about whether we're going back to, you know, if we're going to continue with the online program or the in-person program. That's a decision that's now being considered by our president and other upper level management at Pace University. And I think it's because we are under what is called a pause act, and that is set by the state of New York. The Governor Cuomo has set something called pause. So all universities in New York City, New York State are on pause at this time in terms of physical accesses to their campuses. And until he determines when we can go back in person, that's when we can start making decisions. So we have what is called a plan B and a plan A type of consideration at this point. I know the president and the provost are hoping that the plan A which is to be on campus in person, happens with the modifications needed to be done to continue with this type of environment. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that we're able to come back in there in the fall in person. Yeah. Other questions about anything else?
That looks to be the last one in the chat.
In the chat? Okay. All right. And so I know we're coming up on 8 o'clock. This is an hour-long event tonight. So I want to go leaving, giving everybody tips. You know, what sort of tips would you give to our incoming students? I'm going to start out with Rosanna because she's at the top of in my screen as my top person on my screen in terms of the parents, the students coming in the fall, our freshman class, transfer students, whoever they are, they're new to campus, new to college. What tip or advice, words of wisdom would you provide them?
Well, this is a very exciting time. We are facing challenges, but these are very exciting times. It's a new chapter in your life, starting college. I believe that you just have to look at this decision, make decision, be confident about what you're doing, and go forward. And just take one day at a time. These are going to be the best years of your life. I believe PACE has everything you need to secure a better future for yourself.
All right. And Mel, daughter, let's hear. Yeah, those are wonderful words.
I love that.
Yes. And with two daughters in the mix, she knows what she's talking about.
Thank you.
Yes, truthfully. And this is the time to really invest in your growth and to get to know yourselves. Because I think take the time to take each day, as my mom mentioned, and really get to know about you, your passions are, and to really use this time to meet the best friends that you'll make in your life, get to know your professors, get involved, and really take each opportunity in stride, because you'll look back at these 4 years in your life and you'll just, as I think about my PACE years, it always makes me smile because I'm so grateful for all the opportunities that I've had and the people that I've met along the way. And I think my biggest advice would be to get involved, and you'll meet so many amazing people doing so.
Fantastic. Lena, our senior, oh my gosh, you're leaving me. What advice do you have for our incoming freshmen, Lena?
I definitely think go out there and get involved is really important. Make sure to, go to club meetings and just see like what you're interested in, because there you'll honestly meet a great group of people that you never thought you'd be meeting beforehand. So just honestly get involved.
Yeah. Siobhan?
Yeah, just to kind of echo everything that was said before too, between getting involved and just leaning into the experience. It might be different, it might seem like a shift, but just leaning into that and going with the flow of things, because you never know where it can take you, and you'll meet some of the best people, some people that you'll still be close to later on, so many opportunities. So definitely take advantage of it and lean in.
And Rupert, Siobhan's dad, what do you say? I know you always have great words of advice.
I think every student should take the opportunity as it comes, because what the decision they make now will shape their future. What they do today matters most. Whatever they decide to do and the direction they go from here on in, it's based on one decision. Do I want to go to PACE or do I want to go to another college? And they have to wait. What does PACE have to offer compared to another college? And from what I've seen, from my perspective as a parent, PACE have a lot to offer. And PACE have openings for them to get into different types of industries. So it's entirely up to the student to make that decision. But if they don't make a decision to attend PACE, they may be shortchanging themselves. So they have to think very thoroughly about it, that decision, before they move forward. But PACE is the best shot for them at this point in time.
And Manny and Julia, you guys are sophomores now. You, a year ago, were in this situation trying to decide. And so can you tell our audience what really convinced you that PACE and Seidenberg was, the choice in terms of your commitment choice? So Manny, you go first. coming from Texas, Manny, it's a huge step. Your family probably said, oh my gosh, no way, no way.
Yes, my family definitely thought I was a little crazy for going all the way over there, but we did go visit a few schools, and Pace just caught my eye. So in terms of internship opportunities, in terms of just all the things that Pace has to offer, all the resources that they have, and the opportunity that they have to offer was really eye-opening, which made me want to attend Pace.
All right, great. And Julia, you're right there 15 minutes away from Pleasantville campus, but you said Pace, no matter what, I'm going there. So I know you had the enthusiasm for the city life, but what else captured you?
Well, to kind of reiterate what Manny said, honestly, the resources that Pace offers is really like unparalleled, and I cannot like stress that enough. There's so many different resources. There's Tutoring Center, Counseling Center, centers that you don't even realize until say you read like a billboard one day. There's really so much out there. They offer so much to you, so much opportunity to network, build your resume. And I think that's what really drove me to Pace and Seidenberg. It's just so many opportunities.
And one of the other things for Julia, I just want to mention is that Julia, you came in as a student who was a mainstream student, and then you got a transfer into the honors college?
Yes, so I believe it was my summer of freshman year going into this year. I actually internally transferred into the honors college. So basically what that means is if you are not originally an honor student, you can fill out the applications, apply, as long as you meet all the requirements. And that also provides you with another set of opportunities as well. So it was really great. I'd highly recommend it if you're not already in the honors college. But it's just, there's so many resources out there. It's just great. It really is.
So great. So you know what? I am coming up to the end, wrapping up our program. I'm not sure if we have other questions at this point. If we don't, make sure and look at our next step slide here. Again, deposit deadline is June 15th. So you do have some time, but the sooner you get your deposit in is the sooner you can go on to the next step, which is getting into the orientation cycle where you get to have your courses, be registered for your upcoming courses. You get to meet with the advising team, the Seidenberg advising team. And Christina Newhouse is one of our advisors who's on attending our event at this time. And so she is definitely going to be a big part of your life on the New York City campus when you do come in for the fall. She and the advising team. We have advisors on both campuses. Financial aid, you heard the parents mention financial aid, parent loan. They talked about scholarships, they talked about grants. You would want to view those tutorials to give you more insight into those types of opportunities in terms of financial opportunities. We've done several webinars. We would want you to pay attention. Some of those webinars you would see, you would get to meet Dr. Hill, our dean. Also, we've done webinars on game development. So please take a look at those webinars that we've been doing them since April. This is our 6th one. There's tons of information that we want to share with you. This is the best time to grab that info. And again, we're stressing, take a look at our website, the PACE website with the financial aid opportunities and the scholarship opportunities that we have to offer as well. And if you want to find out and contact us, again, you can contact us at Seidenberg Inquiry. Jill, if you want to put that slide up, Seidenberg Inquiry at pace.edu. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're all over the place. We're on every bus. Melanie was on a bus. Did Melanie tell you she was on a New York City bus? People were following her all over the streets.
Honored to be a part of that.
Yeah, so one of our marketing campaigns, Melanie Green, who's one of our panelists, was a shining star in all the boroughs of New York City. What more can you ask for? All right, so you can be a student like Melanie and greet people everywhere in the New York City boroughs. It was a marvelous campaign. We thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm sure you did as well, Melanie. All right,
Yes,
so I'm going
big
to,
honor.
yes, I'm going to wrap it up. Jill, I thank you for all of your support tonight. Amazing support. And I thank our panelists for taking time to join us tonight for this very eventful webinar. Tomorrow we have a webinar starting at 6 o'clock. It's for alums who are going to be joined and on a moderate, and the panel is going to be moderated by Dr. Jonathan Hill, our dean. So that's exciting. Please, if you have not met Dr. Hill, this is your moment to meet him in person via Zoom. You will not be disappointed. All right. And so and next week we have another event on the 20th. So check in with our social media. All of our events are listed there. If not, our calendar on our Seidenberg webpage. You can find a lot of information there. So with that, I bid you adieu and good night. And hopefully we provided you with enough information to help you with your decision. And thank you everyone on this at this event tonight. Thanks to all of you all for being here.
Thank
all right.
you.
It was our pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay,
My
fantastic.
pleasure.
Good
Have a
night.
good night.
Bye, everyone.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.